Hey friends, Michael here, licensed physio with Total Physical Therapy. A recent conversation I had with an individual was around the subject matter of herniated discs in the spine. Now, this individual had a conversation with another healthcare provider and had a little misunderstanding, or maybe he was just downright given some misinformation around this really simple concept that I find pretty alarming that people still believe. Not only the public, but also healthcare providers. In fact, in my early career as a young clinician, I actually had conversations with healthcare providers that felt that the spinal disc did not have the capacity to heal. And it always baffled me because we learned about the amazing affinity for all of these healing capacities on different tissue types, and for some weird reason we thought that these spinal discs didn't have the capacity to heal. So as an early clinician, it led me into the literature where I clarified that indeed the discs have the capacity to heal. Now, the rate at which they heal and the capacity at which they can potentially heal depends on a lot of factors that will vary from one individual to the next, but at the end of the day, your discs are highly capable of healing if we just provide the right environment. So that leads me into this discussion with this individual. Given the fact that they had a herniated disc, that inner core called the nucleus had the capacity to retract, or rather regroup back into the space which it should be contained. That's what they heard from that provider. However, they also said that the provider suggested that that outer layer, the annular layers, would forever remain torn. Now, whether or not that was the actual conversation, I don't know, but that was the interpretation that this individual had. So I wanted to use this video to discuss what actually happens as the disc is healing. Well, it's going to undergo basically a three-step process, and the first part of that process is kind of a cleanup job. So consider the body to come in and basically pick away on broken down material or material that is considered non-viable. It will kind of eat away at that material or pick it up and carry it away, and will excrete it. So that's the first step. Call it kind of like a demolition cleanup crew. Now, the second phase that's going to happen is the phase in which the body comes in and lays down scar tissue. Scar tissue is often considered the big bad wolf, but I always remind people that if it wasn't for scar tissue, we would be at a massive disadvantage. So I'd like to use this description on what is actually happening when scar tissue is laid down. Now, as these collagen layers are laid down, unfortunately, we need these layers to be uniform. Think of looking at a box of straws. If you look at that box of straws and all those straws inside of the box are nice and uniform and parallel to each other, if you looked under a microscope, this is really what we want to see with our collagen layers. However, with that being said, if you take that box of sticks and you dump them out onto the floor, you're going to have sticks scattered in every which way. Not uniform, some crossing each other, some laying along parallel to each other, which is going to be a big mess. That's kind of what happens with collagen as it lays down in a scar tissue formation. Another example I like to use is a simple bottle of Elmer's glue. Now, we all know this, it's standard, a little white bottle with a good orange top. How do we get the glue out of that bottle? We simply open that cap and we lay down a nice uniform straight line of glue, stick two things together, and voila, we've got a nice formation. That's what we would love to happen with scar tissue. However, a better analogy to what happens is if we unscrew that little orange cap and we turn that Elmer's bottle of glue upside down and we just dump globs of glue on our surface and let it set. That's kind of the picture that the body paints when it lays down scar tissue. So we don't need that to happen. We don't need the unorganized straws laying down on the floor. So what do we need? Well, we need phase 3 to come into play. After the cleanup crew has come through and after the second crew has come down to lay down the adhesive collagen, referred to as scar tissue, now we enter into phase 3. And phase 3 is the actual molding phase. In this phase, I like to refer to a block of clay that you're going to mold into a wonderful piece of pottery. So as you work a piece of pottery, it takes hours to get it formed the way you like it, and then hours more to perfect it even better than what you thought the first time. And this is essentially what human movement does. Now, it is also true that scar tissue, while it's never as viable as the previous tissue, it's still darn close. And so I think some providers will kind of lead an individual to believe that it's not quite as good as it was in the beginning, but hey, we're talking fractional percentage points if you do things right. So I hope this leads to a better understanding of how scar tissue actually comes in and saves the day by actually doing a patchwork job, but then how your motion actually facilitates and welcomes that environment for great healing. Hope you guys found this useful. If you did, smash that like button. If you haven't already considered subscribing, do so now. If you have any further comments or you have any additional information around this subject matter, start that conversation down below in the comments. I welcome all of the feedback. Thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful day. We'll talk to you guys soon.